What's better than $2 Tuesday at Sports Memo? How about Freebie Friday? We can't go any lower than free, and each and every Friday we'll hand select a best bet from one of the hottest handicappers on the site and give it out for free. All you have to do is each and every Friday, head over to sportsmemo.com. The Freebie Friday will be listed on the homepage, and you'll be just a click away from a free bet.
Happy Friday, guys. Welcome back right here to Wager Talk TV. This is Puck Time. I am Andrew McInnis, joined by Carmine and Bianco, and a special guest today, Andy Lang. Join us. You can find him on Twitter at Bump Sports. Carmine Bianco at Carmine Bianco WT. Without further ado, I'll welcome in my co-host, Carmine Bianco.
What's going on, Andrew? Some overtime games last night. Who doesn't love overtime games? You love them even better when you bet them and win them, which I did last night, so I'm pretty happy about it. Winning a push. On the NHL card last night, which was good with the Bruins, so they're up 2-1 in that series. They're the better team in that series, so I'm glad that they won. And Carolina, they found I pushed with Carolina first period, but they won the game in OT. And if you watch those games, both unbelievable goals. I'm not even sure how that Boston goal went in. He literally had a mug-sized space in the top corner of the net, and he found it from an insane angle to win that game. And then in the Carolina game, a couple of good goals, some touch passes, and then the Sebastian Aho winner. So that's great for them. We move on to tonight. Two big games. Let's see if Vegas can get one back, and let's see if Winnipeg can even this series, or Montreal take that 2-0 stranglehold. And I'm glad that this is going to be a props-based show, I think, today, because we have the Lewis Hamilton of prop bets. This man is absolutely amazing. Let's bring him in, Andy Lang.
Clearly you haven't seen practice Formula One this week, or you have, because Lewis Hamilton's not in the top 10 practice. No, I appreciate it. Hey, let's hear it for the Bruins power play to get the shots on goal over the totals. Just incredible. The power plays for Boston. If you have a shots on goal prop to the over, and you see Boston goes on a power play, you got to be licking your chops. So the only prop I had last night was Marchand, and obviously came through big. I was actually bummed he scored the game-winning goal, because they threw his shots on goal at 2.5. And that was a nice, easy win for us. And I fear that they're going to really, really juice it, or they're going to bump it up to 3.5. And that's part of props in the playoffs. You're really going series to series and game to game, and you're just looking for the books to give you the best number. And it's been a really, really good playoffs for props. Got some good stuff for you guys today. Thank you so much for having me on.
We are more than happy to have you, Andy. Look, I was right there with you on Brad Marchand. I think you mentioned the prices and the odds and the numbers we're getting, and the numbers were not as good for Pasta and Bergeron. They just weren't as good for those guys anymore. And then Marchand was kind of like that odd man out that we were like, what? 2.5 minus 130. Are you serious? And you and I were both on the same page. So happy to get that there. Kind of funny there. I wanted to say it. I want to mention it. It was kind of funny. In overtime, Carmine and I are texting and giving each other our overtime predictions, one guy from each team. And Carm, you and I haven't even discussed this yet, but I thought that I won because I said Sebastian Aho and you said Jordan Staal. So I'm celebrating with you because Aho, the commentator, said that he scored the game-winning goal. Turns out it went off Jordan Staal's stick or off his body. He's credited with the goal. So just kind of funny when you try and call these winners and it actually wasn't the guy I thought it was.
Well, see, they said it's Aho, and I'm looking at on Yahoo Sports, and they're still crediting the goal to Sebastian Aho in overtime. So
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure of anything else as far as that goes. But in looking at the end of the day, looking at like some of the stuff, and I talked about like the analytical battles, Andrew. Sometimes the final score doesn't indicate, I'm ahead on my team in the analytical battle with, for the expected goals, but, with Carolina, and they end up on the losing end. Well, in this one, the Hurricanes were almost a full goal ahead in the analytical numbers at 3.41 to 2.44 for the game. and lost the game. And then you look at the Bruins one. The Bruins one was it's insane that the game finished 2-1 when you look at the analytical numbers, 2.96 to 3.0. The expected goals based on the chances that they had, there should have been a lot more goals in that game, and instead it finished 2-1. And at one point in that game during the second period, the Bruins only had 6 shots on net, and I think they finished with 41. They really picked it up at one point there after a bit of a slow start, even though they did score.
And to be very clear, those expected goals that Carmine is mentioning, those are ran through hundreds of simulations based off everything that we saw in that game and all the scoring chances that we saw in that game. I find it very interesting. It's cool to look at sometimes. I think back to the Tampa Bay and Florida series, there was one game where Florida lost 4-2, and the expected goals were like 6-1 in their favor. So it's really cool to look at that kind of stuff sometimes. Guys, I did lose my 5% play yesterday. I apologize. The run now moves to 20-9. I had the team total for the Bruins. Of course, they still win the game, but did not get there with the team total. But we move on. I went 3-0 with my shot props yesterday, so all access clients pretty much had a push. It was 2% and 1%. So kind of a wash in the NHL for me. But 2 great games to talk about today. Looking forward to talking about one in particular, hence the jersey. But let's get into game number 1, guys, with the Avalanche and the Vegas Golden Knights. Colorado leads 2-0. The price opened up minus 125 here, plus 100 for the Golden Knights. The line on the total is currently 5.5. You know, Carm, I was saying to you before that a series, they say, isn't it over until you lose a home game. You know, it's 2-0 for the Avalanche, but they took care of business at home in their home ice, where technically in a series that might be expected to go 6 or 7, that's all you're really asking your team to do, win the home games. As a visitor, though, you're asking your team to give me a split, give me one on the road, and let's go get it done back at home. Now, they have a huge task against them back at home, T-Mobile Arena. Pete DeBoer, he got asked about his team. He got asked, how do you handle the Colorado Avalanche superstars? You know what his answer was? Which one? There's 7 of them. So I don't know what they're going to do differently tonight, because Colorado just seems to be anything you can do, I can do better. I'll go to you first, Carmine, for your thoughts.
Yeah, you know, I had as you guys know, if you watch Wednesday's show, I had the whole rebuttal thing going back and forth with Lawrence on game 1, where he thought it was a bad decision by DeBoer to put Robert Lehner in net. And Vegas looked at it as a throwaway game. Let's try and win one of the 2 games before heading home. You know, Fleury had played all 90 minutes. Every minute of these 7 games, and you had to give him the game off. And Vegas, as a team, just didn't show up. So Robert Lehner, not Robert. I keep calling him Robert. I'm just going to say Rob. But with that said, you look at it, they just didn't show up. 25 shots on goal in that game. They lost 7-1. Colorado 37. They played a much better game in game 2. Look at the shots. This is more of a Vegas style game. 41-25 were the shots on goal for the Vegas Golden Knights. And they had a chance. They had a chance in overtime. Unfortunately, I won't say they had a chance. They had a chance to win in overtime until sort of that soft penalty, and Rantanen gets the goal and ends it early. But they're now back in Vegas, and that third game, when a team has lost the first 2, or a team has won the first 2, let's say, that third game is a difficult game to win. Look at Tampa Bay last night. Won the first 2 games of the series, had a tough time in game 3 with Carolina. Carolina gets the win. I've said the stats, 334 and 50, or 51 right now, 87% for teams that win the first 2 games of the series to actually win the 7-game series. That's a 7-game, not a 5-game series. And in the first round, every team that was up 2-0 in the series went on to win. I think it was 3 or 4 different teams. Same thing here. Vegas is in trouble, but we're going to see the best effort out of the Vegas Golden Knights tonight. Is it enough? We're going to find out. Let's look for another low-scoring game. This isn't going to be one of those 7-1 type games. This is going to, I think it's a game, Andrew, that's going to look similar to what we saw last game out, 3-2. And these guys have a lot of scoring games during the regular season. And while I don't like to bring regular season stats into the playoffs, these are two very good teams that knew they were battling for top spot and home ice advantage. And each one of those games during the regular season was almost like a playoff game. I'm going to lean to the under here and slight lean to the Vegas Golden Knights.
All right, under and a slight lean to Vegas. And it's a 7-game series, guys. We've only played 2 games so far. Everybody is acting like the sky is falling. Like the Avalanche should just raise the cup right now. We've only played 2 games. Lots of games to discuss here on Puck Time. Lots of games to be played at T-Mobile Arena and other arenas as well back in Colorado if it does get there. Andy, we'll go to you. What are your thoughts on this game?
Sometimes you have a game or a series where you want to have some action in it, but it's not great value. And this series and these games have just been really entertaining to watch. And so I don't have very many bets involved with this. I just enjoy these two teams playing each other. The speed is incredible. I just love watching McKinnon go up against the Vegas Knights. A couple of props that I do think are worth looking at. Focus on Mark Stone. His prop to not have a point. This is 4 straight games without a point for Mark Stone. 2 against Colorado, last 2 games against Minnesota. But on the flip side, he is plus money, and I'm looking at plus 150 to have over 2.5 shots on goal. And he's done this 2 out of the last 3 games. And the game that he did not have 2.5 shots, he had 2. So it's kind of weird to say Mark Stone, there's value on him to not have a point, but value to be on the shots on goal to go over. But that's where I'm finding value. And then you never want to play Nathan McKinnon under. However, I'm going to play Nathan McKinnon under 3.5 shots on goal is plus 155. This has hit in 3 out of his last 4 games. As you guys know, you do not need to hit very many props at plus 150 to 55 to have a profitable series. And the numbers don't lie. He's getting 3 shots. And at plus 155, it's telling you that, well, this is a guarantee to go over. And it's not a guarantee. And sometimes you just have to take a bet because the number is off. And this number is off. And I get it. You never want to take a McKinnon under. But when the number's telling you that you should take it, this is a Gianni special type of play. Gianni, we all know Gianni well. He looks at the numbers and goes, that number's wrong. I'm taking the other side. And this is what you have to look at with McKinnon, under 3.5 shots on goal, plus 155. It's absolutely worth a sprinkle in this game tonight.
Well, Andy, I mentioned the fact that the coach for Vegas literally said they have 7 superstars and 7 top guys on the Colorado Avalanche. So that kind of helps your case. I think a lot of people discuss McKinnon as just being a sniper and a shooter and a fast up ice type of player. Let's not forget he was the guy that spun off a defenseman and assisted on that game-winning goal, to Mikko Rantanen. So he's also a passer as well, Carm.
Yeah, and to Andy's point, and if you watched both games, what did Vegas do in the second game that they did not do in the first game? It's kind of like having a linebacker ghosting the quarterback who's a running quarterback. They literally cut off Nathan McKinnon in the neutral zone. They stopped him from making those rushes up the ice and up the middle, and they did it effectively in game 2. Are they able to do it in game 3, or can Colorado make the adjustments? If that's his style of play where he's got to go up the middle and they can stop him, the key to stopping Nathan McKinnon is you got to stop him through that neutral zone. If you allow him to gain the line, he's going by your defenseman. It's kind of like what we saw with McDavid throughout the season and even last year, where he kind of corkscrews guys into the ground because he makes that end-to-end rush and goes around the defenseman at high speed. They did a very effective job of slowing down Nathan McKinnon in game 2. If they can do that in game 3, it bodes well for this Vegas Golden Knights team tonight.
The more we discuss this game, the more I kind of think about that quote from Pete DeBoer, and the more I want to look at some props for the third liners and the guys down the lineup, even guys like Andre Burakovsky, going back to him maybe to get a point. Look at JT Compher, some of these guys that are, still jumping into the lineup or doing different things each night. But maybe this game tonight, if the Avalanche do have success, doesn't involve, the big 3 for them, so to speak. My play on this game, guys, is going to be the first period over 1.5. I've had a pretty good read on first periods so far this playoffs, or at least over the past few weeks. And I've had a great read on, getting these live bets in after cashing those first period tickets. And something tells me that as much as what we saw last game, and I was wrong, my show play on this game was the over again after I cashed it in the first game. But something tells me that Vegas is going to realize that in order to be successful, they have to jump out in front, use their speed as well, get a goal, and protect it. Because lots of credit is going towards McKinnon, Rantanen, Landeskog, Cale Makar. But where is the credit for Philip Grubauer, guys? Where is the credit towards this guy that a lot of people said couldn't potentially lead this team to a Stanley Cup Finals? Wasn't the goaltender of this team's future. He got hated on quite a bit. There was lots of disrespect thrown in his direction. And, I think that they're going to have to realize it's going to be an everything at the net type of game. They're going to have to start really, really quick and get that first goal. And I think the Colorado Avalanche will know how important this first road game is as well for them. So it should be a pretty good one. Also, guys, these props don't come out until later in the day. I'm not sure if Andy's been betting these at all, but I just recently started betting them. I feel like more books are offering them, I don't know, in the second round maybe, but betting the over on shots for a team or over on saves for a goaltender. If you want to look at Marc-Andre Fleury over saves, when that number comes out, would not shock me at all to see him continue to be peppered. Sometimes you can even grab combined. Like when these two teams played last, I got over 59.5 combined shots for both teams. And then you can try and cash a ticket just hoping for shots galore from both teams. Andy, we're going to switch to you first for the next game, the Montreal Canadiens and the Winnipeg Jets. Opening -120, now just -115. You can give us any thoughts on this game as far as the series or the props, totals, anything you're liking here. And I know there's one you're going to like. I don't know if you're going to save it for the end, save it for the best bet, but there's one I know you really like here.
Well, I already have 2 props loaded for clients, and this is going to be part of an NBA and NHL player prop package today on Wager Talk. And one of them is going to be a best bet. Yes, at the end. It's probably the one So I look at this one. I think this one is very, very bettable from a prop perspective. Montreal, they've scored 3 or more goals in 4 straight games after scoring 1 or fewer in 4 straight games to start the playoffs. So the offense has picked up. One of the issues I have is in those 4 games, it's not like they've had one guy that's just gotten on fire and is scoring a bunch of goals that you can look to play like 1 goal or 2 goals. Pretty balanced attack. I will say Perry for Montreal has had a point in 4 straight games. I can't find a good number on that prop, but if you have a local book or you have a book outside the States, I would look to see if books are hanging a prop on Perry to have a point. That's an interesting prop to look at for shots on goal. Had 5 in the first game against Winnipeg, 3 shots on goal, 4 shots on goal the previous 3 games. And his shots on goal prop is 2.5, and it's plus money. So again, we're getting a really, really good price on that. And, Winnipeg, obviously we don't need to go over the hit. But Scheifele being out, that's a guy, he's had 13 shots, 2 goals, 3 assists in the playoffs. Those stats, those minutes, they got to move to somebody. I would look at some of the centers for the Jets, and maybe Dubois over 1.5 shots on goal is a possibility. That would be a really, really sneaky play. He's had a shot before, but like I said, Scheifele's been playing a lot of minutes. He's been eating up a lot of the stats, and they got to go to somewhere. So I'd look at some of those centers for Winnipeg for some props. I'd lean Dubois on that one.
Great stuff, Andy. I'm right there with Dubois. It's a little bit of an expensive price, but you're also getting a 1.5, so I'm willing to take that. I liked these shot props for the Winnipeg Jets in the first place in the first game. And I mentioned this, and I had a little rant about it previously in the week, talking about dangerous shots versus just regular shots. You and I look at these scoring props and these point props and these shot props, and Montreal, what they have done, which has gone very under talked about and underrated, they've kept teams to the outside for a large part. Sure, against the Maple Leafs, there were some shots in tight that Carey Price came up big. He's the best goaltender in the world, in my opinion, especially in the playoffs. But there's a difference between dangerous scoring opportunities and guys just floating the puck at the chest protector. And that's kind of what we saw in game one. And now we're not only missing Mark Scheifele, Paul Stastny will not suit up tonight for the Winnipeg Jets. He took the morning skate this morning. He was out there skating for 6 minutes, and something didn't feel right, removed himself from the ice. So that's two key guys, two veterans on this team now not playing and suiting up for them. So that's huge losses. Good stuff for Blake Wheeler props, Nikolai Ehlers props, because it's just, that much more weight on the shoulders of those key guys to get the job done. And, when I look at this game, I thought everybody loved that situation in game one. I was trying to hit the pause button on everybody and say, hey, look, this is a team that won game 7. They have momentum. I wouldn't want them to have a huge break right now. Why would I want them to forget that they just won a huge game and lose momentum in their head and lose confidence? Winnipeg hadn't played in 9 days. They probably forgot they were even in the playoffs for a couple of days. They probably hung out with their families, took it easy, had a barbecue. I mean, I thought it was a situational spot for the over. A little bit of laxy-daisy defense, and we saw that in the first period. Cash that first period over ticket I gave out on this show. But honestly, guys, I'm just absolutely confused by the disrespect the Montreal Canadiens still get. In the media right now, everything is about, why did the Winnipeg Jets play poorly? Why did they do this on defense? Why didn't the Toronto Maple Leaf stars show up? Why didn't this guy do his best? Nothing at all towards the Montreal Canadiens. We're still seeing a pretty bad price. I'll tell you guys right now, I gave my clients after game 1, 4% wager, Canadiens -1.5 games in this series. They're going to come out today, maybe with a little bit of anger after what happened at the end. Like Andy said, I don't want to discuss the hit, but I do expect a lower scoring game. Unless we see just a game filled with penalties, I expect to see a great goaltending display from Price and Hellebuck, a little bit more defensive, defiance and consistency from both teams. So I'll go under 5.5 here. What about you, Carm?
Does our production crew have like a flashing Homer alert kind of thing that we can put up there?
Well, no one else is going to say it. No one else is going to say it, Carm.
I know. Listen, I'm kidding, man. I'm kidding. I hope on Monday's show you've got like the Montreal symbols tattooed on your face and stuff like that, those stickers and stuff like that. But
Carm, the thing is, I just have so many quotes from so many people, including the Prez, in my head, just floating around. The team is terrible. They have no depth. They have no scorers.
I get it.
That's
I
all
get it.
hear.
Listen, I live north of Toronto and have to listen to Leaf fans all the time, which is why I give it to them each and every year. It's my favorite time of the year, Leafs elimination day. I go out in social media. I have a file on my computer. I just use the same memes over and over again. With that said, it's another one of those things where a big game for Winnipeg. So if you like Winnipeg in the series, or if you like Winnipeg in this game, Winnipeg to win the series is now plus 180. If they lose this game, I think they're done. This isn't going to be a long series. If Montreal gets up 2-9, I've already given you those stats. So this is a big game for them. It's probably going to be a big first period for them. This Montreal team, though, has done extremely well starting out and scoring goals. They played 8 games in the playoffs thus far. They have scored the first goal of the game. It hasn't always been in the first period. They've scored the first goal 6 of 8 times. They've won 5 of those 6 games where they've scored the first goal of the game. I think it was their very, very first game of the first or second game in that Toronto series where they scored and lost the game. But this is a big one for Winnipeg. I don't think there's going to be any spillover from that hit that resulted in a 4-game suspension for Scheifele. If there was, we would have probably seen the spillover in the last minute of that game with Montreal's coach putting some players on the ice and them dropping the gloves. This is too important a game to Montreal to go out there looking to even things out and taking stupid penalties. So this game is going to be played exactly the same way that game 1 was played. Whether the scoreline is going to be any different, we're going to have to find out. But if I had to lean somewhere, I'm going to lean to a low-scoring game, but I would also lean to taking Winnipeg in the first period.
All right, Winnipeg in the first period and bounce back mode for Carm. And, for a lot of people out there that might not know who Jake Evans is, the guy that went down for the Montreal Canadiens after that hit. He has a concussion now. He has concussion history. He was actually the guy that led the Canadiens in ice time, and he was matched up all throughout the game against Mark Scheifele. He was on the top line with Gallagher. He was the leading ice time guy for the Montreal Canadiens, a guy that's been like in and out of the lineup throughout the year, a fourth line player sometimes on the year, and a guy that's turned into a great playoff guy. So he wasn't just some, guy just out there for the end of the game. This is a guy that had the most ice time on the Canadiens roster during that game. And Carmine's been giving us lots of stats here today. So here's a stat that you guys might like. 18. The magic number is 18, but also the magic number is 3. 18 straight playoff games the Montreal Canadiens have won with Carey Price in the net when they score 3 goals. The magic number is 3, and that's 18 straight playoff games they've won if the team gets him 3 goals. They get him to 3 goals, get him to 2 goals, and let your defense sit back and play that trap, as Prez likes to call it, and protect your own end. And I feel like that's an unbelievable stat. 18 straight wins, scoring just 3 goals. Andy, let's go to you for what you have up tonight for your clients. You mentioned that all access package. What's your best bet as well? Let's get some winners out of you.
Yeah, great promo code Wager Talk is giving me today. Use the promo code Andy39 and it gets you 3 days all access for the price of 1 day. And the reason that's important is weekends are pretty big for me because I have my golf daily head-to-heads, NASCAR, and Formula One is taking place, and I'm on a 4-weekend winning streak in racing. And then you'll also get props from the NBA and NHL. So it's an unbelievable deal. You'll get Major League Baseball as well. We've had a winning week in all those sports. So promo code Lang39. It's a really good deal. 3 days for the price of 1. And Andrew, just to piggyback off that, you were talking about getting to 3 goals. If you think Montreal is going to get 3 goals, you could sprinkle Suzuki to get a point. He's only minus 125. He's got a point in 4 straight games. That would be a good one. But for my best bet, I got to go back to my old faithful in the NHL playoffs. Tyler Toffoli, under 2.5 shots on goal. He's gone under this total in 7 out of 8 playoff games, including the first game against the Jets. The Canadiens had 33 shots on goal in that game, and Toffoli only accounted for 2 of them. 33 shots on goal, that's the most in the playoffs for Montreal. It still wasn't enough for Toffoli to get over this 2.5 total. I just got to keep riding the streak. When we talk about props, we find these guys that go on these really, really long streaks. Toffoli is one of them. I'll keep going. It's a broken record, but Toffoli under 2.5 shots on goal, my best bet.
Good stuff. Toffoli under 2.5 shots. You've been cashing that left and right, 7 of the last 8 games. And the key thing you mentioned was the spread out scoring, the depth of this team. They don't have too many superstars, but they do have depth, and they will surprise you with their scorers. And when that happens, it also means you're not getting consistent shots or consistent points from each player. And Andy's going under with Toffoli on his shots. Carmine, where are you going today for your best bet?
Yeah, before I get to the best bet, I like that stat by Andrew. If Montreal scores 3 goals, 18 straight wins for Price. So with that said, I'm going to take a couple of exact scores just off on the side, Andrew. 3-2 Winnipeg, plus 700 on your money. And 3-1 Winnipeg, plus 1,400 on your money. So we're going to try and keep Montreal under 3 goals. The best bet for the show, though, is going to be that first period that I mentioned. Winnipeg Jets, I have to feel that if they're going to get the win tonight, they've got to get out to a lead. And in that first period, if Montreal scores first, it doesn't bode well for this Winnipeg team, because the Habs have done a fantastic job of getting the first goal, like I said, in 6 of 8 games, and holding on to that lead and sort of dictating the way the game is played. So with that said, we'll see if Winnipeg can get a lead tonight and get it early in that first period. We need to get a win, because it has been 4 terrible days of best bets on this show, and I've had a very good year with these best bets. I joked around in the production crew that I wish I could give out the prop of over 2.5 bottles of wine consumed this weekend by me, minus 300. The juice is kind of high on that, but I might hit that by the end of the evening tonight. So with that said, it's going to be Winnipeg first period on the money line, minus 120. My 2 plays up for tonight in the NHL, and then I'm going to have some cards up for the weekend. Pick up the 3-day all access pass. There are some tennis being loaded for the French Open, some other games, soccer friendlies, and we're getting ready for the Euros. If you haven't downloaded that publication, which is free on my page, a ton of people have been downloading it. The 21 pages of information there, and all 51 games on ESPN. That kicks off next Friday.
Well, first of all, Karma, I'll gladly let me know the book that's taking action on that, and I'll definitely make a 5% play openly on that minus 300. I think that's value, as some might say. Maybe the over 2.5 on LCBO trips taken by you just to leave the house. We could go on and on. Maybe the sharp money, the plus price on over 3.5 at plus 100. We'll see what happens here. Let us know what you're drinking, Carm, this weekend. Maybe give us some posts on Twitter. But real quick, guys, I do have some props I wanted to mention. It was kind of a prop show, so I didn't really want to, take anything away from Andy because he's been crushing these props. I do have a few props I want to give out. Let's go down the list. First one, Pierre-Luc Dubois, PL Dubois, over 1.5 shots. We already spoke about it before. Andy and I talked about it. The price is minus 140. It's not too bad. Nikolai Ehlers, looking at him as well to get a point, minus 125. I think there's plenty of pressure, I said, on those top guys. And, I think that this is going to be a game where Winnipeg is going to show up and they're going to have their top guys consuming lots of ice time. That's minus 125. And same kind of story in this game. Jonathan Marchessault to score a point, plus 100. I think that's great price there for a guy that will have to be huge and have to step up for the Vegas Golden Knights in order for them to be successful. I always say the depth matters, but in the big games, you need your star players and your guys that were there for those 82 games, or in this year's case, 56 games, to be your best guys. Those are 3 props, guys. Pierre Dubois over, Ehlers to get a point, and Marchessault to get a point. My best bet, however, on the show is Winnipeg and Montreal under 5.5. I expect a much more defensive game tonight between both of these two teams. French Open action has been going on, guys. Best bet going this afternoon at 3 o'clock Eastern. Just cashed a winner during this show in the French Open, so it's pretty much going on all throughout the day. Also have an MLB late night play up as well. Have a great weekend, guys. Always happy to have Andy on the show. Carmine, best of luck, and find the power plays on the screen. Canadiens Jets under. Jets first period, and Tyler Toffoli under 2.5 shots. Andy continues to cash that. Always happy to have him on with the props. Guys, best of luck this weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at wagertalk.com. All daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including $40 5% best bets. As an added bonus, all new users will receive $25 in wager bucks credited to their accounts, available for immediate use after their initial $9 Monday purchase. So make sure to take advantage of $9 Mondays